I never realized how pathetic my husband was until Amanda's pool party last summer. Like, I knew Jeff wasn't exactly built like a Greek god or whatever, but it just never really hit me until I saw him standing next to Ryan, Amanda's husband. God, that was embarrassing. I'm Melanie, 31, and honestly, up until that day, I thought I had a pretty decent life. Jeff and I met at the steakhouse where I work. He came in during a slow lunch shift, and we just clicked. He made me laugh with his dry sense of humor, and he was sweet in this kind of endearing, awkward way. We got married pretty quick, just under a year after meeting. Looking back, I probably should have paid more attention to certain things. So, anyway, this pool party. Amanda's showing off their new backyard setup, and Ryan's out there without his shirt, helping set up the grill and moving these heavy patio chairs around like they're nothing. Meanwhile, my Jeff is struggling to carry a cooler with maybe 6 beers in it. I'm not even exaggerating. His arms were shaking, and he had this little wheeze going that he gets when he overexerts himself, which apparently happens when he has to lift anything heavier than a grocery bag. Your Jeff is such a sweetheart, Amanda said to me while we were setting up the snacks. Ryan, baby, can you move that table over here? And just like that, her husband's flexing his muscles, effortlessly moving this huge table that probably weighs a ton. Meanwhile, Jeff's inside, supposedly helping with the chips, but really just hiding in the AC because he's already worn out. The whole afternoon was just one painful comparison after another. All the other husbands are playing volleyball in the pool, showing off their dad bods, which, let's be real, were still way better than Jeff's string bean situation. My husband? He's sitting on the edge, dipping his feet in, looking like a wet cat when someone splashes him. Amanda's teenage son literally asked him if he was feeling okay because he looked so pitiful. I didn't really say much on the drive home, just kept thinking about how Jeff couldn't even play a proper game of cornhole without getting winded. He tried to make some joke about being more of an indoor cat, and I couldn't even fake a laugh. All I could think about was how Amanda's been texting me gym selfies of her and Ryan looking like actual adults while my husband looks like he'd lose a fight to a strong breeze. That night at dinner with our friends Mike and Sarah, I couldn't help myself. You guys should have seen Jeff at the pool party, I said, trying to play it off as a joke. I thought he was going to pass out just from applying sunscreen. Everyone laughed, including Jeff, but I wasn't really joking. Sarah chimed in about how her husband's been getting into CrossFit, and I just sat there thinking about how Jeff gets tired from walking up the stairs to our apartment. The more I thought about it, the more I noticed everything. How he has to use both hands to open a pickle jar. How he practically hyperventilates putting together IKEA furniture. How he always asks for help reaching things on high shelves, even though he's taller than me. He's just too weak to stretch up properly or something. It's like once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. At least I'm funny, right? He said later that week, after I made another comment about him probably losing a fight to one of Amanda's kids. But all I could think was how not funny it actually was. What if someone broke into our house? Jeff would probably try to reason with them or offer them a cup of tea or something equally pathetic. I started noticing other women's husbands more at work too. Even the older guys who came into the restaurant had this presence about them, you know? This confidence that comes from knowing you could actually protect your family if you had to. Meanwhile, Jeff looks like he'd need protecting from a slightly aggressive squirrel. The worst part? He doesn't even seem to care. He's perfectly content being this way, like it's totally normal for a 33-year-old man to need help moving a coffee table. Sometimes I catch myself wondering what I was thinking when I said yes to his proposal. Sure, he's sweet, and he makes decent money at his warehouse supervisor job, but God, would it kill him to at least try to bulk up a little? I used to think his shy, quiet thing was kind of cute. Now I'm pretty sure he's just afraid someone's going to challenge him to a push-up contest or something. The other day I was telling this story at work about how he once got scared by our neighbor's cat, and everyone was laughing. But in the back of my mind I was thinking, is this really what I signed up for? A husband who's basically a human chihuahua? I started telling more people about Jeff's situation. Like, not to be mean or anything, but it's kind of hard not to notice when your husband needs to take a breather after bringing in the groceries. My coworker Ashley could not stop laughing when I told her about how Jeff tried to open a jar of pasta sauce last week. He did that thing where he ran it under hot water, tapped it with a spoon, and still couldn't get it. I had to call our neighbor Tom to help. Tom, who's like 60 years old, just popped it open in 2 seconds while Jeff stood there looking like he wanted to disappear. The thing is, it's not like I'm trying to be cruel. These things just keep happening. Last Tuesday, we were having dinner with Amanda and Ryan again, and Ryan was talking about this guy who tried to start something in the parking lot at Costco. Ryan just stood his ground, and the guy backed off immediately. Jeff sat there pushing his food around his plate, and I just knew he was thinking about that time he made us leave the movie theater because some teenagers were being loud, and he didn't want to confront them. Not everyone needs to solve problems with their fists, Jeff said later that night, all defensive. I couldn't help but laugh. Babe, you'd need to be able to make a fist first. He got quiet after that, but honestly, someone needed to say it. Work has been interesting lately. There's this regular customer, Mark, who comes in 3 times a week. Total opposite of Jeff, runs his own construction company, always talking about his gym routine, actually fills out his shirts properly. The other day he was telling me about having to fire someone, how the guy got in his face about it. But Mark shut that down real quick. I caught myself imagining Jeff in that situation and almost laughed out loud while taking Mark's order. I made the mistake of mentioning Mark to Jeff. Sounds like a real charmer, he said in that dry way of his. But I could tell he was bothered. He started making excuses about why he couldn't pick me up from my late shifts anymore. Whatever. Mark usually offers to walk me to my car anyway. The breaking point might have been last weekend. We were at Home Depot because we needed a new shower head, and Jeff couldn't reach the one on the top shelf. Instead of asking for help, he spent like 10 minutes trying to use one of those grabber things they have for short people. Some guy probably half his age came over and got it down in 2 seconds. I couldn't even look at Jeff the whole way home. You don't have to tell everyone these stories, you know, he said later that night. Like he was doing me some kind of favor by being embarrassing. I mean, do your work friends really need to know about the jar thing? They think it's funny, I told him. And they do. Ashley says her husband Chad arm wrestles for fun with his buddies. Meanwhile, Jeff strained his wrist trying to open our stuck window last month. How is that not funny? I didn't mean for everyone at work to start calling him wet noodle behind his back. That was all Ashley. I mean, I laughed, but I didn't start it. When Jeff brings me lunch now, at least he still does that, I have him wait in the car. It's just easier that way. Last time he came in, I overheard Mark ask Ashley if Jeff was my little brother. I wanted to die. You used to like that, I wasn't some meathead, Jeff said yesterday. We were watching this action movie, and I might have made a comment about how he'd probably pull a muscle just trying to do one of those stunts. He used to say it was refreshing that I didn't have anything to prove. The thing is, I did say that. But that was before I realized just how bad it was. Before I saw him struggling to help Ryan move a beach umbrella at the pool party. Before I noticed how he shrinks into himself whenever we're around other men. Before I had to watch him almost pass out trying to change a tire. Mark ended up helping us with that one. I'm not asking for much. Just maybe don't look like you're about to cry when we have to carry a case of water up the stairs. Maybe don't let your wife's 60-year-old neighbor open jars for you. Maybe don't make me feel like I have to warn people before they meet you. I just think it's funny. I keep telling him. If you can't laugh at yourself. But lately, he's not laughing much at all. Last night was the last straw for me. We were at this neighborhood barbecue thing, and of course, Ryan was there showing off again with his new smoker setup. All the guys were standing around it like it was some kind of shrine, talking about temperatures and wood chips or whatever. Jeff tried to join in. God love him, he really tried. Started talking about some YouTube video he watched about smoking meats. Ryan asked him to help move the smoker a bit to the left, and I swear it was like watching a kindergartner try to push a car. Maybe stick to the microwave, babe, I said, and everyone laughed. Jeff just walked away to get another drink. Classic Jeff move, retreat when things get uncomfortable. Though, to be fair, he was probably worn out from attempting to lift something heavier than his phone. Amanda pulled me aside later. Don't you think you're being a little hard on him? Like, excuse me? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. She should be thanking me for livening up these boring suburban get-togethers with some actual honesty. The thing is, it's getting harder to ignore how pathetic he is. Last week at the gym, Jeff's first and last time coming with me, he couldn't even do a proper push-up. The trainer had to show him the modified version, the one for, elderly people. Mark was there too, doing actual adult workouts. I pretended not to know Jeff for the rest of the session. Yesterday morning, we were getting ready for work, and I caught him trying to do push-ups in the bedroom. Working on your noodle arms? I asked. He just got up and went to take a shower. I might have mentioned it to Ashley at work, she told Chad, and now they've got this whole running joke about starting a GoFundMe to buy Jeff some muscles. I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just leave? But it's not that simple. He's got a decent job, he helps with the bills, and honestly, good luck finding a guy my age who isn't already taken or totally messed up. Besides, Jeff's sweet when he's not being completely useless. Like last night, after I made that microwave comment, he still made sure to bring me a plate of food and asked if I needed anything. Sure, he brought it out in 2 trips because he couldn't carry everything at once, but still. Sweet, right? But then this morning happened. We were running late, and I asked him to carry my gym bag down to the car along with his work stuff. He actually said no. Just no. Said his back was still sore from trying to help Ryan with the smoker. I had to carry everything myself. I mean, what's even the point of having a husband if he can't do basic husband things? I can't keep being your punching bag, he said before leaving for work. Punching bag, please. Like he could handle even that. I told him he was being sensitive, and he just gave me this look. Like I'm the one with the problem? All I'm doing is pointing out the obvious. If he's embarrassed by it, maybe he should do something about it instead of pouting like a kid. Mark noticed I was annoyed when I got to work. Trouble in paradise? He asked, all concerned. I ended up telling him about the gym bag thing. He offered to help me work out a better fitness routine for the hubby. I know he was just being nice, but it was kind of mortifying. Like, imagine having strangers offer to help your grown man of a husband learn how to be, well, a man. Jeff didn't show up for lunch today. Sent me a text saying he had too much work. Yeah, right. Probably couldn't face walking through the restaurant after last time. Ashley saw the text and was like, did Wet Noodle finally grow a spine? I laughed, but honestly, it was kind of inconvenient. I had to buy my own lunch, like some single person. So we had this dinner party at our place last weekend. Nothing fancy, just the usual crowd. Amanda and Ryan, Mike and Sarah, and this guy Tom, from Jeff's work with his wife Katie. I hadn't met Katie before, but whatever. The more the merrier. Right? Jeff tried to play host, God bless him. He actually attempted to open a wine bottle in front of everyone. It was like watching a baby deer try to use a corkscrew. After about 5 minutes of him struggling and making these sad little grunting noises, Ryan just took it from him and popped it open in like 2 seconds. And this is why we stick to screw tops in this house, folks, I announced. Everyone laughed, except Katie. She just kind of stared at me like I'd kicked a puppy or something. Whatever. Not my fault, my husband can't handle basic tasks. The real fun started when we were talking about home repairs. Ryan was telling us about redoing their deck, and Mike jumped in about fixing his garage door. Jeff, trying to contribute as usual, mentioned how he'd fixed our leaky faucet last week. By fixed, he means he tried for an hour, almost flooded the bathroom, and then I had to call a plumber, I said. But hey, at least he didn't cry this time. That usually gets a good laugh, but Katie just kept giving me these looks. Actually, Jeff said quietly, the plumber said I'd diagnosed the problem correctly. I just needed a different tool. Yeah, it's called muscles, I shot back. Ryan snorted into his wine glass. That's when Katie decided to pipe up. You know, my brother's a plumber, she said. Says the biggest guys are usually the worst at it. Need finesse more than strength. Like, okay? Nobody asked, but thanks for the random plumbing facts. The conversation moved on, but things got weird when Jeff started telling this story about some problem at work. He was trying to explain how he'd handled this big inventory issue, but you know how he gets, all stammery and taking forever to get to the point. I just couldn't take it anymore. Babe, maybe let's not bore everyone with warehouse stories, I cut in. We all know you're basically just counting boxes all day. That's when Katie really lost it. Actually, she said in this weirdly calm voice, Jeff just completed a major system overhaul that saved the company thousands. Tom's been telling me about it for weeks. I laughed it off, but she wasn't done. You know what else Tom told me? She continued. How Jeff's been working extra shifts to cover the debt from your restaurant attempts. How he turned down a promotion that would have required moving because you said you needed to stay here for your connections. How he's been seeing a therapist to deal with constant criticism from his wife. The room went dead silent, like you could hear the ice maker in the fridge silent. I think maybe we should go, Amanda said, but Katie wasn't finished. You think it's funny to tear him down, she went on. You think it makes you look good? Because let me tell you what everyone at his work thinks about the wife who sends him those nasty little texts about being pathetic when he can't leave early to pick her up from her shifts. I tried to play it off. Oh my God, it's just jokes. Jeff knows I'm kidding, right, babe? But Jeff just sat there, staring at his plate like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Right, Katie said, standing up. Just jokes. Like how it was just a joke when you told everyone at his company Christmas party that he probably couldn't fight off a determined Girl Scout. Tom cleared his throat. We should probably head out. Everyone left pretty quickly after that. Super awkward. Like way to ruin a perfectly nice dinner party with all this drama.